Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Thorax's Magic's stream for today. I sense a little hostility.
Just a bit.
Welcome to Commentary's Magic stream on today, Sunday, January 26, 2020. I am, as always, Grandpa's.
Big Cheese?
I've been told that I have to say my name is ThoraxFan88, so there. Are you happy now?
Yes.
Ivory Starlight's happy.
I am extremely happy, Thorax Fan 88. It's good to have you here.
I'm not even going to dignify that with a hissing.
Of course you wouldn't. Thorax doesn't hiss.
He used to.
Only bad changelings hiss.
Pharynx?
Pharynx. Pharynx is a bad changeling.
He was a good changeling, and then he... Yeah. Bunch of traitors. Anyway,
So,
what are we talking about today that has gotten me so riled up?
Van Hoover Pony Expo results are what has gotten you so riled up.
I see.
It was our first look at Constructed Harmony since Leaders and Legends released back in November of last year. At least the first tournament surrounding it. And it's interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, a thing happened.
There was indeed a tournament. There were some decks that were played. And, yeah. So, you want to jump into it before we actually start talking about some of the reasons that Thorax isn't on every card in L&L?
Yeah, that'd probably be a good thing to do. Okay. So we had 9 players in the tournament, which is very fortunate because that meant that the salt block got to get used. But let's go in these from bottom to top.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, the other way around. Top to bottom. First.
Top to bottom. Okay. And
Okay.
who was our grand overall winner?
In first place, we have Diamond Song with a monothorax deck.
Thorax.
Thorax plus Queen Novo plus Meadowbrook's Mask equals question mark exclamation point.
Well, that's a particularly spicy sequence of plays that I think I actually got dropped on me on stream.
That was really fun to watch.
She dropped it twice on stream. Against you and against someone else. I don't remember who her opponent was the other time, but it was quite amusing once we realized what was happening.
It's like the biggest non-bow that actually is a combo.
Right, because it's great, because she runs her traitor up to the problem, and you're just like, okay, I guess.
What do I do now?
And then she drops a Novo, and you're just like...
What?
What? And then you look up, and you see this horrible little smile.
And then the mask comes down. Yeah, that was really spicy and one of my favorite plays I had ended up seeing over the whole tournament.
Yeah. If I had remembered to do this is where I'd get one of those reaction gifs and just play that. But c'est la vie.
So we've got 11 events here, plus 3 copies of Goose Luna. Guna, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Honk.
Honk.
So you've got a decent way to be able to make a large number of critters, plus, obviously, actual critters.
Mm-hmm.
And then, there's this day shift here, because I hear that card is okay or something.
Yeah. That's got the usual things to get Thorax flipped early. There's gummies and potassiums. Being a mono deck, of course, it can take more advantage of the potassiums than usual.
It's true. Delivery Mare can also be playable. Falcon can also be playable. There's actually some extra friends that can do that, and of course Awizodal as well if you really had to.
The one thing I am a little bit surprised here is I don't see a lacking lesson plans in the problem deck, so it's possible that this would have a bad time against a Tempest.
It's true. No dilemmas in the sideboard either, and friends are always, or not sideboard, main deck, and friends are always there. Looks like one of the only answers to troublemakers outside of Queen Novo. I guess you got Spooky Ruins as well.
Yeah, that does help. And of course, if the trader goes online, then it's not as though he needs any help in this regard.
Very true. A neat take on Thorax Yellow, though. So, congratulations, Diamond Song, and good to see some cool tech coming out of this. What's next?
Moving on to our second place finisher. This
More
is
hissing.
more hissing, correct? Sokol piloting a Thorax Orange list, which I believe is identical to the list run at Continentals, or only a very small handful of cards different.
Thorax just sits there and gets big. Grr.
I don't think
lost
there's any
against this
leaders.
deck.
I don't think there's any leaders and legends in here, so it may very well be the same list.
Yeah, I don't see anything
Nope.
not even in the problem deck. He added non-core cards, he says. I'm taking a look here, and I don't... Oh, Bewitched Beavers, sure.
Ah, yes, stick abuse, very important.
Well, also relevant for the next deck we'll get to here in a moment.
Very true.
It mattered too.
Yes, it did. I think you guys had quite a bit of fun with beavers.
I did not confront the Thorax decks, but Cheese apparently did.
I did twice.
I bet were those your 2 losses?
No, I won against Diamond.
The thing that surprises me here is, and I understand, I've heard people explain this before, the choice of 8-cart pile-up over Pearl Heist because you think the 7 rec is significantly more difficult for your opponent than the 6 rec, and the 7 rec is far less difficult for you because of how big Thorax generally gets to. And I guess that's true, since that would require about 3 characters from your opponent. They're not likely to have a 4-power character.
Yeah, I think this makes a lot of sense here because you lose practically nothing, and even if you don't gain much, there was no actual cost there. Most of the time, I think.
Yeah.
Swaying the Sea Ponies, the 3 bonus.
Yes.
I mean, I guess, but
And that gets that
We've
gets
seen it work
interesting.
in we've seen it work in like DE Shy Blue as well. It's surprising, but if you can build a deck around it.
Yeah, you just want to make sure that you really, really don't lose that face off.
Yeah.
Slightly swingy?
That's what the Spooky Ruins are for.
Of course, including Orange in here also allows the deck to split its attention between keeping Thorax up at a problem with Day Shift and keeping everything else at a problem with AJ and Fluttershy.
Porque no los dos.
Also interesting to see, and again, kind of makes sense, Thorax wants small friends, but neither of these 2 Thorax decks have run any copies of Meadowbrook. This deck does take advantage of Sanctuary construction in addition to Friends Are Always There as ways around Troublemakers, of course, plus Thorax himself.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a few fewer ways of flipping your main immediately on, although this does include lacking lesson plans. Does a second Spooky Ruins prevent a second flip if you tie after flip 1? Yes. I believe?
We'd have to look at that. I believe the thing about flipping more or fewer cards only works on the very first set of cards flipped.
I will check that while we go to the next list.
Alright. Yeah, our first 2 spots are full of the Trader to the Hive, so congratulations to him, I guess. And because, of course. Moving on to our 3rd place finisher. Jeez, this is you. You want to talk about this thing?
pile. Yeah, it's a pile deck. Sonic Rainboom plus Surprise Party. Pretty much all you need.
I
What
mean,
about
you need
Twilight?
you probably want
yeah,
to
sorry,
pile
I plus
out.
Twilight. Oh, I guess you need a pile. You know what this deck doesn't need and should go out of it? DJ Pwn 3s. They're so bad at this deck. No, seriously, they just are.
They really are.
I might care to disagree.
That's fine. They're very bad. It's 4 AT for 2 points.
Sure. The thing about these though is even if you lose the pile, you can use these to seriously disrupt whatever the opponent's got in their hand.
It's not worth it.
It's just better to get more card draw on your own list. The Werefrog, it looks like the Spooky Ruins, which is kind of that persistent effect, is only going to affect the number of cards that are initially flipped and will not affect cards that were flipped due to ties. If, however, your opponent had effects that would, say, flip an additional card during face-offs, they would need to have multiple of those to get through a pile of Spooky Ruins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, this deck is predominantly combo. Like, it can aggro a little bit, but that's not really what it's trying to do. It's trying to combo. It's trying to get 4 blue rec and 4 pink rec, which is why it's running Angel Wings and Spitfire. Like, those are the 2 correct friends for this deck. And all this other entry. Like, there's just so much entry. And the Tempest Shadows were a last-minute change to deal with Bubbly Mares. Because someone built a Bubbly Mare deck, and then everyone else was like, guess I'll run a Bubbly Mare.
There were only 2 bubbly mares.
It's like
Everyone else.
it's almost a third
Quarter
of
of
the
the
player base there.
Yeah, so it was kind of required. And like, they're kind of fun anyway.
I mean, you can also use them to deal with a traitor.
A little bit.
That seems a little worse.
I think I might have actually done that against them. I don't actually remember that game very much, but yeah. Also, like, it's nice to see Fire when ready again. Mystery at Hope Hollow lets you find piles. Like, I mean, I guess you could find other stuff, but
Let's be honest, you're finding piles.
you're either finding a pile or a Twilight.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of the two.
Might find a
Speaking of
Tempest.
Twilight,
Twilight plays like so much value. It's ridiculous.
so we remember how old pile used to count 2, 6, 10, 14 game. New pile doesn't have to do that. New pile counts 4, 10 game.
And if you've got Twilights out, you get to omit
And
some
honestly,
of those.
generally, it's just 4 game. You're gonna get the 5. Well, you often can get the 5 points otherwise, but
Sure.
Should at least be confronting when you can, so...
Yeah, if you're able to get a few points off of Trading Traditions early, it's nice. Though I found that very tricky, often having to play Angel Wings into Snips and Snails to remove my opponent's starting problem.
yeah.
Nice Moves Kid is also extremely nice with Pinky Sense here as well, since it means you can dig very deep into your deck and then save relevant pieces in your hand. Also, Pinky Sense plus Spitfire is hilarious.
Pinky Sense in general is hilarious.
Pinky Sense in general is just really good. So what does this deck not like, Chase?
Doesn't like Thorax.
Okay.
I mean, it can deal with it, but like, it's not great. It really doesn't like Bubbly Mare. See, you got 2 events that you have to play: Sonic Rainbow and Surprise Party. And when you can only play 1 event per turn, that's painful.
You have a bad time.
Yeah.
It's not great.
It also doesn't help when there's 2 mimics in play.
No,
And
no,
there's
it doesn't.
1 naming Troublemaker and 1 naming event.
That seems suboptimal for you.
And you only have 35 minutes.
It is challenging, to say the least. EEA Council doesn't matter that much because you will just frighten it with Spitfire on your turn,
Or
belly
flop
flop it, and then your opponent will not have a window to ready it or to play another one before you go off.
Yeah, pretty much. Like the only really counters to this are like kill Twilight at immediate speed, or kill the pile at immediate speed.
Apart from normal taxing stuff like...
Yeah, and then taxing.
Or run Bubbly Mare and prevent you from playing 2 events a turn.
Sure. I'm counting Bubbly Mare under the taxing umbrella.
She's taxing to play against.
Yes, she is.
Mentally taxing, sure. Alright. Next deck?
Yeah.
So speaking of Bubbly Mare, she just wants a muffin, okay?
It's so gross.
3 Mimics, 3 Grogars, 3 Nightmare Moons. Unsatisfactory works, Beavers, like this
2
deck is
Meadowbrooks,
painful.
2 Beavers.
Music in the Treetops, Yona's,
God, the
Pinky and
Yodas.
Skystar, Strawberry Sunrise to turn Nightmare Moon over, or like Grogar. Also Philomena, just in case you wanted to like bank all your AT for when you play your Tempest. No, don't do that.
No, not allowed. And the important thing to note in this deck is that this really wants to start with Buckball strategy. And that's very important because that means on turn 2, both play and draw. If you've got a backup vocals in your hand, that comes down and then the Bubbly Mare flips over. Then your opponent has a
terrible.
bad time.
Yes, then your opponent is sad.
Terrible.
Yeah, between the ability to bounce stuff with Yona and Music in the Treetops and Skystar and Pinky, this can just be annoying.
And I think the general consensus was that Bubbly Mare is capable of doing a lot of things, and this is likely not perfectly refined. There are probably choices in here that can be changed, and there's whole other directions you can go with this. Bubbly Mare Purple has a ton of discard pile disruption and can run stuff like Destiny Drain and very irritating cards like Gyro to find key events. Bubbly Mare White can turn a lot of the bounce that Yellow can run into banishment with Bedtime, and also gets access to a lot of recursion.
Sounds annoying.
Bubbly Mare Blue can run a combination of Philomena and On Even Ground.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Or just On Even Ground. You know how
That
your
still
opponent
sounds
normally
fun.
gets that full turn with Philomena to do stuff? Nah, let's just take that away.
Uneven Ground is evil.
Yeah, that seems good. That seems annoying. And I think that's really what this deck is trying to do. It's like, does this make my opponent angry?
And the usual answer is yes.
I mean, always yes.
I mean, you're running Bubbly Mare.
Right. Like, I think the value of immediately tilting your opponent to about 45 degrees just with Bubbly Mare herself cannot be overstated.
I remember 2015 when GP here ran Bubbly Mare at Babs.
It was a mistake then. It wasn't a mistake now. Oh, Bubbly Mare
I think I
has
was
Red Heart.
judging that tournament.
You were.
Mm-hmm.
That should have been Friend to Animals then.
Yeah.
But we didn't have backup vocals and, Buckball strategy then, so.
Wasn't that like Crystal Games brand new at that point?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So it feels like a bygone era at this point.
I'm
it
sure
does.
you had finger snaps in there.
There were.
Yeah, there were finger snaps in there.
Yeah, but that was back in the era of Carbo Loader and Bad Old Days. Let's not think about that anymore. Yeah.
Pile of Presents was brand new at that tournament.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was. I think it was the first time it was run.
no one figured out how to really abuse that.
They were getting close.
Still trying to run aggro.
Yeah.
So
All right,
what's
what's
up
next?
It's everyone's favorite deck. It's Poppy time.
Poppy.
It is
Poppy.
Star Poppy, but not just Poppy. It is full
Those are
width.
full width characters.
Yes, full width Poppy.
I see the pillar mares front and center almost.
Yep.
Babby Derpy Poppy.
Yep.
Live by the RNG, die by the RNG.
Pretty much.
And there's this Royal Spyglass just sitting there.
Yeah, I heard that the Royal Spy glasses need to be replaced. The prescription's a little out of date.
Yeah, I think they need some calibration. Now, the problem here is this, of course, was piloted by Pages, and I believe he burned up every scrap of belief in round 1.
So much belief. I wish he were here right now. He could shed some light on this. Pages, hop in here. Share your woes with the community at large.
The joy of Devil Babby.
Devil Babby is a mistake.
Reporting live from the loudest Chinese restaurant, says Pages.
Beautiful.
Fantastic. So, looking at this, a few minor changes since the last time we saw Poppy. Mystery at Hope Hollow has been added in here, as well as Queen Chrysalis, because why not copy that Poppy?
Yeah.
This one even lets you copy that Poppy.
Uh-huh. We also see some Winterzilla in here, just as another tool for resource removal in case you can't quite get into purple.
It only has 2 cards, right? Yeah.
Otherwise, Poppy does Poppy things. Pages does say he lost the two Thorax decks because he took out the only answer to him, which was Twilight and Spike Ultimate Organizers. You will notice an absence of those.
That card is so good against Thorax and Farm.
Yes, it is.
I
Oh, I
kind of want to
forgot.
build a deck with it.
We forgot there's the Pinky Senses in here.
Yeah, just for that extra night
Protection.
Yeah, very.
Yeah, with the Nightmare Moon. Also, you
I
just
like
played
these
against
guys.
Ultimate Organizers today. I mean, it
You
wasn't
never got
there.
it out, but
Nah, it wasn't there. Devil Babby continuing to make metas great since 2018 or whenever Defenders came out.
How many rulings did you have to resolve?
So many rulings!
Look
So
at
many.
those big eyes and those big wings. She knows
all the
exactly
better
what she
to
did.
something with.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
We just need to give Poppy a wings and a horn.
Next
kind
is
of- she has-
you.
It's water wings.
It's exactly the same deck.
It's another pile deck, which was piloted by Grandpa's. Anything additional to add?
Nope, that's it. Next.
Pile does pile things.
Pile those pile things.
All right, let's talk about the. I don't know what to do about this one. On one
This
hand,
was
I
a
really want
surprise to see on stream.
It's got
This
RTO.
was great.
This is a really annoying deck to play against.
And
Needs
the
Stygian.
good changeling to bad changeling ratio is pretty good.
Yeah, it is. Like
Yeah.
I kind of want to hiss at this, but I can't. I just can't bring myself to hiss at this.
This is pretty good.
I only count Pharynx is the only good no wait.
No,
Not
Patagium.
Pharynx, Patagium, whatever. It starts with a P.
But there's some cozy glows in here as well.
Dude,
and like,
the stack of suitcases. I think I played against this deck.
it was so irritating.
No. Maybe it was this one? I don't remember. I know I played against stack of suitcases, and it was annoying.
It was this deck.
Yes.
Stack
I
of
did not-
Suitcases is so good.
I did not see a suitcase in any of my games with this, but oh my god! Just the main on this alone. Like, if you're playing a mid-range kind of deck where you don't have cheap friends, you're sitting there and looking at that main just going, the second I play a friend, it's gonna get stolen. I don't want to play this one. I'm gonna have to play it. Because it's not
Then
gonna
your
go away
opponent-
otherwise.
Then your opponent flops something into your friend and then plays Cozy Glow and takes your friend anyway.
Yeah.
You're like, why? Why do you do this to me?
This was really fun to see this out and doing things again.
Also, RTO making an appearance once again.
Yep, found the lady.
Mm-hmm.
Still seeing play, however many years, or like 5 years later.
Yeah, something like that. And we got 3
more
Queen
than that.
Chrysalis in here. This deck just like, man, it's gonna banish all your friends, it's gonna steal them, and it's gonna make you pay out the wazoo for anything you do. Mimics and stack of suitcases. Like, seriously, just the color churros in there, whatever. Don't worry about the color
Like-
churros. Swap them out for Stygians and more stacks.
What? No, forget the color of churros. Get rid of that thing. Swap in some spoons.
Ah,
Spoons.
spoons.
Oh, that would be annoying.
The only thing that I have some concerns with here are the problem deck. I think that might be able to be retuned a bit. The 4 pink wreck on a couple of these problems is really rough given the friend selection.
Yeah. I'm not real sure about the starting problem either.
Like, why not run Royal Breakfast instead?
Something a little bit easier for you to confront, maybe.
Might be
Or there's
going
something that's
for
going to give you a benefit.
Yeah.
might be more interested in the 2 bonus because RTO.
Yeah, that's possible. It's true. There are three RTOs here.
Maybe.
Maybe Pearl Heist, but again, that's a 6.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's also much easier for your opponent to confront. And I think maybe that's one of the reasons why it's running that, just simply because almost any deck is going to look at that 10 and just be like, why?
Yeah, that's fair. Getting that DFO off that early problem is rough without blowing a dilemma on it, so.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, what's next?
Let's see. Got another Bubbly Mare deck. This one's a little bit different. It's running torch songs to find your backup vocals.
It's so expensive to do that, though.
A couple of other minor
I think we
changes here.
tried. Yeah, I think we tried experimenting with that early on, and it's like it is nice having the redundancy to be able to get the backup vocals more often. But a backup vocals on turn 2 compared to a backup vocals on turn 4 are very different.
I mean, you can do it on turn 3. You just need to open with Trading Traditions instead.
That's true.
Then Harry, then
Yeah,
you would
then
have
how
to
are you
play
gonna-
something.
Then you got to get your other yellow.
Yeah, it's still pretty ugly though, isn't it?
Yeah. I do like the old tech here of the rehabilitations, so that you can farm your own Grogars or Nightmare Moons with Queen Novo and then get them back immediately.
Oof.
Big oof. Yeah.
It's a medium oof.
Well, it's kind of spicy because
Well, sure, but the two things that you'd be doing that with are both villains, so you're gonna scare Novo. Like, I think that's why I really liked the Grogar in this list, because you can put him, just slam him back into play face up without the uncover, which perfectly sets up a Novo face off.
it's true. Remember, you've also got Guard Geese. Guard Geese just turn the Troublemaker over.
Oh.
That avoids the villain trigger.
That's true.
Those are
Gotta
kinda
be
fun.
Only 2 though.
Yeah, true.
There is a high skill cap on this. You can set stuff up that'll take 2 or 3 turns to execute and just infuriates your opponent along the way and then gets you 2 points at the end of it.
Yep. A good example of how there is still room to explore with Bubbly Mare, though.
Bubbly
Alright.
Mare villain farming when?
I mean, this kind of does it.
Don't
No, dedicated villain farming.
Don't.
Oh,
I want to see 15 troublemakers in here.
15. 21. Come on.
Well, yeah, it was 21. For,
Yeah, it's the feather standard.
Was it 20? Did she really get
yes,
it? Yeah,
yes,
she probably did.
it
Who
was
am I kidding?
21.
And this is Harmony, so you've got access to all of them too. All right. One more deck.
one more deck. God bless this man for trying this.
Okay, this was Cursed Chords running a vinyl yellow white deck.
This is a combo deck made by Hithrock, I believe.
I
Correct.
believe that is correct.
It abuses teamwork and Queen Chrysalis and Trenderhoof to do dumb things.
Claude. I remember when Claude was a card.
That's some spicy there. That's real spicy.
There were some decks that used him.
I still don't have a single copy of Claude.
I have several for you. Hit me up next time. You can take them off my hands.
How many of these do you have?
Not as many as I had elements of generosity.
Ouch.
So the basic idea here is Chrysalis is going to eat a teamwork friend and also have a bee suit on her. That means that every critter that is wherever Chrysalis happens to be also gets Chrysalis's ability to banish something from the discard pile and gain its ability. So you make Chrysalis a critter, give her teamwork, then play an Orange You Glad, banish another teamwork friend with Orange You Glad. Now every critter friend that enters play where orange is also gains you 1 and drains the opponent 1. You play a Furball. This gains you 2 AT, drains the opponent of 2 AT. You eat something with Furball, because Furball is also a critter. Give it teamwork. And then any other critter friend that enters play at that problem will drain your opponent of 1 AT, give you 1 AT back, and also make a critter friend token as it enters play. That critter friend token will drain 1 AT, gain 1 AT, and put a critter friend token into play.
Oh, good. So you've got the core of a combo, like startup condition in a trigger loop.
Correct.
that
So we
you
are
can't
talking
interrupt.
entirely in successive waves of pre-priority processing.
So what you're
Yep.
saying is a Hithrock combo deck.
Yeah.
Yes.
He loves
It's-
doing things like this.
All of us love doing things like this just because it's so stupid. But the beautiful thing about this is once this connects, you can't interrupt it.
Right. Now let's talk about interrupting it. This is a deck that requires you to have cards in your discard pile. It also requires you to banish those cards from your discard pile
In the correct order.
in the correct order with the correct friends. It has multiple priority windows until it gets to the point where it takes place in pre-priority processing, which means that if at any point in their execution of this combo, you can remove or frighten Chrysalis or Orange, you're probably in pretty good shape because they'll have to unfrighten it or put another one into play and also have another teamwork friend in their discard pile that they can banish.
Which you can get rid of by playing juggling routine 4 times in one game.
That was the best!
Yep.
Now we can look at the deck having 2 copies of Mysterious Disappearance here, and that led to an interesting line of play where there were multiple Fires of Friendship naming purple that were in play.
Oh.
And I sat there thinking, as soon as I play a pile, it's going to get banished. Or I can just sit here and confront for 1 every turn and play Juggling Routine every time his discard pile gets big. I'm going to do that instead.
You're mean.
Playing the control game instead of the combo game? I like
Yeah.
it.
It was spicy. Now, of course, the deck does run 2 copies of EEA Council, so if you can wait long enough, you can technically do this. And just be guaranteed to have it work. But that takes a while, and Harmony is not the format of non-interactivity. Harmony is the format of how many ways can I interact with my opponent in the most irritating manner possible. So this deck has quite a hill to climb. Why backup vocals? Well, backup vocals is here primarily for the same reason that Tempest was here in Pile to flip backup vocals, or I'm sorry, to flip Bubbly Mare back over.
Because Bubbly Mare just wants a muffin, and she's real persistent about wanting that muffin.
So we take the muffin away.
Correct.
And she's sad. And so this was quite a bit of fun. I think, however, that the craziest thing that happened, and this was probably also the most fun, was the Premier Block Sealed Tournament.
Oh boy.
See, everyone's sitting here just kind of groaning about this, but here's the fun thing. Premier Block wasn't designed for the current confront rules. So all of us kind of as a group looked at each other and said, hey, do you want to bring back the first to confront rule? And everyone's like, yeah, actually, that seems kind of spicy.
It's terrible.
It was great. Games lasted like 5 minutes.
Oh, it was great. Because you don't have any of the complicated dilemma stuff getting in the way, and it's just back to the old rules, and that was kind of fresh, actually.
Perfectly balanced as all things should be. Maybe not that.
Check on that one.
Premier Block balance was a very different level of existence.
Very true.
It was, but I think that was kind of fresh, and maybe that was why it was interesting.
Sure.
Rose-colored glasses notwithstanding.
Well, that concludes the deck list portion of this stream. But I think we had some insight that Ara wanted to share with people regarding. Well, I'll leave it up to Ara to kind of explain that.
Well, the title of this is VPE Results and the Art of Leaders and Legends. So as you might imagine, this is going to focus a little bit more on not just what the cards look like, because we already did that during Slugfest, but this is going to focus a little bit more on how those cards look that way in the first place. So today we're going to take another peek behind the scenes of Leaders and Legends and look at this one step in the process of how we go from a row in a spreadsheet describing all the mechanical aspects of a card to a finished high-resolution image suitable for printing. The first thing here, we've talked somewhat about design in the past, and while it's important that the abilities make sense in the confines of the game rules, or that the card isn't an overpowered mess, neither of those things are arguably the most important aspect of a card. This is probably the name, or which character it is, because that impacts both the flavor and the mechanics. So let's take this example here. Here's a card, right? Now, the name of the card includes the words Twilight Sparkle. Now, what is this? Just given this information, what is this?
Well, it's either an alicorn or a unicorn.
It's probably
Sure.
purple.
Probably purple, yeah.
Sure, but there's another thing that's kind of important here. What type of card is this?
A friend?
Probably.
Unless it's Twilight Sparkle's castle.
Could also be a troublemaker.
I don't know. It could also be a troublemaker. That's true.
Given that it's spaced that far into the card, it probably has princess before it.
Yeah, probably.
Well, these are all accurate things. So you are probably expecting that this card is a purple friend. That seems likely.
Yes.
And if you pay very close attention to the background behind the name, that's a pretty big hint here, but I'm probably the only one who pays attention to that kind of stuff offhand. Aside from the fact that maybe you remember what this card does, just the fact that it's named Twilight Sparkle implies the abilities on it could be doing something tricky with events, manipulating your own deck, but you know, it probably won't be doing, and that's what it does, but it probably won't be doing things with troublemakers because that just isn't very Twilight.
What is Starlight doing there?
She's a purple thing that does things with troublemakers, because at the time she was a troublemaker.
But I can never tell them apart. They're both purple unicorns, and they both have like sparkles.
Hers is more of a glimmer.
Yes. Thank you for that, Ember. Now, it's important that these expectations are upheld, and we try very hard to do so when we're filling out flavor. Characters will tend to stay in their colors. The abilities of the card will tend to stay in that piece of the color pie. And the abilities will tend to fit the character, or at least the specific art chosen. Rarity being a mare of class. No one would dare call her eccentric under normal circumstances, except when she is rocking some wicked punk hair. And then some exceptions can be made. Now, this can also work the other way. If I tell you there's a pink friend with eccentric that doesn't yet have a name, well, you wouldn't be surprised, now would you?
Honk.
Honk.
Now, this brings us to the next thing, which is selecting the art. If the card already has a name, that impacts the art. Naturally, if the card's title is Princess Twilight Sparkle, there better be a picture of a dorky lavender alicorn on it.
But that's exactly what I see here.
Yeah, I see it too.
I don't believe you.
Prove me
blue
wrong.
card. It has
Change my
blue on
mind.
it.
I think this card should be reprinted in core. I don't see anything wrong with this.
I'm gonna stop you right there. Now, if the card doesn't have a name yet, the type is important because mains, friends, and troublemakers tend to be named after a character in the show, whereas events, resources, and problems tend to be named after situations or inanimate things. So this obviously is probably going to be a main friend or troublemaker because here, look, it's Fluttershy, and she's cute, and there you go.
Burbs.
This art, on the other hand, you could arguably do something with just Scootaloo here, but the fact that she's on her way into orbit seems like it would be more interesting to put on a card.
We've got action lines along the border of the frame as well, so. Or movement lines.
Yeah. So the type gives a really strong suggestion as to the subject of the art that's going to go on the card. A lot of the time, the name is determined maybe more by what art fits the abilities and color of the card. The availability of suitable art is also a factor. As we'll get into in a moment, finding art for cards is non-trivial, and sometimes a card will be given some name simply because there was some or any art that worked well with the card's mechanical aspects. With the exception of a handful of cards from Pixel Kitties and one card from an art contest, the art on cards is almost universally from official video material, the TV show, the movies, or the specials. This means that the source art for a card is usually a screenshot. Now, on the templates we use, the space for art is approximately 780 by 550 pixels, and that's about a quarter of a screenshot. The clear space on the template is a little bit smaller than that, and ideally you want the pony's entire body and tail to take up about a sixth to a ninth of the screenshot so that the art will fit nicely in the template, be high resolution and not look pixelated, but reasonably close to the center so you can get a good picture of the pony and nothing is cut off by the template. Well, since the show isn't about giving us perfect screenshots, often a character will be too close and cut off, too far in the background and thus too small to get a usable image, or too close to the screenshot's edge.
So how do we fix this?
Well, that's not all. There can also be a busy background or a lot of ponies close together, which makes arranging the image and focusing on a subject challenging. Also, a piece of advice, if you do this yourself, do not mess with the aspect ratio of the image to make it fit the space. This looks awful.
Yes, please.
And if the image doesn't fit the way you want it to, or fill space the way it needs, you might need to find a new image. Because this pains me to look at this.
Is this what we printed?
No, it is
No.
not.
Thank you.
No, this is exactly how it is.
I forget what it really looks like, but it's not like that.
It is very similar to this. It's just
Not
not
stretched.
scrunched.
Scrunched and stretched.
Yeah. Now, Google Docs actually doesn't even let you do this without like fighting with it. It automatically preserves the image ratio just because it knows that if you don't respect this, it will just look bad. So props to Google Docs for that. One of the most powerful tools we have for helping arrange the image is the template itself. You can use this to cut off unwanted parts of the image with careful resizing and repositioning of the image. So we'll look at a few examples. See, so this is Moondancer, and unfortunately Twilight's kind of in the way, but we don't need any of her in this frame. So we're just going to cut her off with the edge of the template. Easy. Over here we've got Celestia and Sunset. Well, this card's about Celestia, not about Sunset. So we're going to use the edge of the template to mostly cut Sunset off. There's a little bit of her tail that pokes through here, but that's okay. That's easy enough to erase.
I don't think I've seen this.
That would be one of the Equestria Girls specials, and that's why you haven't seen it.
I think it's the second one.
Do you put Equestria Girls on a card?
I put Bacon on a card, so yes, there was Equestria Girls.
Fair.
But sometimes the edges of the template aren't quite enough here. Gallus' face is sticking out a little bit too far to keep Smolder and her dress centered. Yes, your dress, Smolder, thank you. So we ended up actually having to erase parts of Gallus here. And this isn't all that's going on, because just selecting the art is one thing, but there's often a lot of little touch-ups that happen afterwards. One of the really common things is called overpaint, where just the very tip of Gallus's wing here is sticking out on top of the title, and it's somewhat difficult to see, so I've accentuated it a little bit on the left here. Probably over half of cards have this, and it's not much. The tip of a wing, a bit of a hoof, parts of the mane or tail. Silverstream is a little bit less subtle. Her tail's coming a little bit further forward and actually getting in the way of text. The text always goes over the top of the image, however.
What, you mean you can't just have cards covering their traits?
No.
But the paint's not over painted.
I see what you did there. And so more of this. Apple Bloom's, the stuff on her hat's coming forward. Although not all of it. There's, I guess, the net that doesn't come up in front of the template. And then a really obvious one, Rainshine here.
She's just so tall.
Well, this is also due to how the screenshot has the various characters in it. So Rainshine being central, she's almost all the way to the top of the image. So you have to have her positioned this high up in order to not have to cut off the top of the image. And she's also the Kieran equivalent of Celestia, so I figure she's allowed. On some cards, this overpaint needs to be transparent. So here's an example from last set. And if you look carefully at the tips of Acellus's wings here, you'll see that they don't actually come in front of the template. They just punch straight through it into the background. Which looks a little bit weird. There's a couple of examples in Leaders and Legends of this. So Trixie's magic is brought in front of the template here. And this, unfortunately, all has to be done by hand.
I never actually noticed that one before.
Most of the stuff is subtle, but
Yes.
like, it makes a difference.
Yes, almost everything in here is very subtle. If you notice this, it's because you went out of your way to look at stuff. The fact that you don't notice this means that we're doing a very good job.
It adds a layer of depth to each of these cards. It makes it look far more professional.
Yeah. There's one other card in... two, actually, other cards in Leaders and Legends that have this effect. And not all of the card art can actually be found in the show, because sometimes multiple things had to be stitched together, or more significant changes had to be made to the image. So to take an example, we've got Kerfuffle here. Well, the obvious problem here is there's a big old Discovery Family logo, which, well, we can't be having that. And also, she looks kind of sad.
Turn that frown upside down.
We're going to turn that frown upside down. Here, we've got, this is the background of Amity Ball, yes, hush. Where Rainbow is just smirking at Yona's effort to, fit in and get along. And that's not helping Rainbow, so you need to go away. Bye.
And then Rainbow was banned.
Yeah.
Wop.
Here, for charge chapters, there's actually no frame where Smolder is smirking and the pages are still in the book, so two frames had to get blended together a little bit here. And this is another case where the edge of the template is just used to glorious effect, because in the full screenshot, Gallus is just angry. In the cutoff one, he just looks like livid at the book.
Wow. Smolder's mean.
Yeah, a little bit.
This art always makes me laugh.
It's great art.
Tell me that little smile on her face doesn't just warm your cold heart.
Oh, it does.
And then it makes it even colder.
Basically. Problems are fun because the image is so wide. This one actually has two separate screenshots that feature the common subject, the wagon there, blended together into one continuous screenshot. If you look very carefully at that rock in front of Starlight, there's a tiny little compositing error there that's going to annoy me forever now.
I can't see it.
Good.
Still can't see it. Oh, wait.
I can see it. It's plain as day.
I know it's
idea.
there.
It's not there.
Me.
Right.
Yet another blending two screenshot together thing going on here. Also, my God, that face, Pinky.
This was the meme. This was one of the meme face episodes for sure.
I mean, yes.
A little bit.
Why didn't we use the chewing face?
Because it's kind of weird.
It's a little strange.
It's pretty weird.
I mean, it has the same cheeks that the Fluttershy from the Pony Life video had.
That's not a good thing.
So it was subliminally preparing you for what's to come.
Dear God, no.
Let's see. And then here we've got that little yellow unicorn in the background. That came from some completely other chunk of the episode. Just because Rarity's shop is busy, and there wasn't enough busyness going on there.
Oh, I remember it took forever, this one, to decide, right?
Well, this
The art
one
for
took
booming
forever
business.
because we originally had art for booming business. We're like,
Which
yeah,
is-
that looks good.
It was
And
reused, yeah.
it turned out it was literally the same frame of art from the Defenders main, which
Fashion mogul.
fashion mogul, which no one besides Leo has ever played in their life, and therefore none of us recognized immediately.
Mains and cards that no one plays are easy to forget.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one got disturbingly far in the process before we noticed that. We're like, whoops.
After looking at it, I was like, I swear I've seen this before.
Like, I'm pretty sure we have it. Then he pulls up the boosted side of that. And I'm just like, crap.
Guess not.
Guess we're going to find more images. Now, super rares and ultra rares, despite no longer being shiny, have a special place in my cold heart. And their special place is the second coldest because the art on these cards needs to extend all the way to the bottom of the text box for super rares and all the way to the borders of the card for ultra rares. And it's here where we see some of the more interesting things done to get art to work.
I like this card.
So the two of him in the screenshot on the left are too far apart to fit in the space on the card. Photoshop has a very neat thing called a content-aware resize, which manages to reduce that space quite significantly. And if you pay attention to the angle of the staircase and look closely at the window, you see that it messed up in a couple of places and shrunk some things and changed some angles.
Ah, yes.
There was
It's really hard to tell, though.
Well, it's very good at what it does, but this did need quite a bit of hand editing to correct a bunch of small issues that it left. And if you have complaints about this, my counter is lol Discord. Think his house makes any sense? Come on.
Fair.
Sakura. Not just a mechanical nightmare, but an art nightmare too. So she's got clothespins on her nose and cotton balls in her ears, and those need to go because they don't make any sense on the card. And this is very tricky because the editing here is done directly on Sakura's face, so if there are any issues whatsoever, they'll be obvious. And I don't consider myself much of an artist here, but I'm kind of proud of this one.
And Rarity's gone.
This is well done.
Everyone's favorite aunts. So the image here, the top one, isn't tall enough, so a second screenshot is used to fill in the bottom area behind the text box. You can see the little bits of confetti on the ground there.
Yeah.
In what's going to become a recurring theme here, a little bit of Chrysalis's hair had to get filled in so the image would be tall enough. This cuts off just below the last line of text.
What are you saying? Are you saying you have practice drawing Arqueen?
No, actually.
Just her hair.
I'm just really good at faking this little last bit of her hair, I guess. As I said before, I'm not much of an artist. And in case you were getting, not bored of stuff not being tall enough,
But I've seen a few Photoshop or shops in my day.
Yeah, we have yet more short images where another screenshot fills in the area behind the text box. Don't ask why there are 2 pinkies, 2 twilights, or 2 starlights. It just works.
They were the extras that were messed up in the creation process.
Yeah, it happens.
Plush making is hard, okay?
Prototypes.
It is hard. And of course, the image wasn't tall enough here either, so there's some random hill-looking stuff filled in behind the text box.
Never even noticed any of these.
Right?
I think I only knew about this one because I watched you edit it.
Yeah. It's little things. But we're not done yet because we got the entire Ultra Rare series to look at too. So this one actually wasn't that bad. Other than this little chunk of fill stuff going on over here, and I don't know what's up with that.
Nice color there.
Yeah. That's going to bother me now. Finding Art of AJ cooking stuff, and we actually didn't have a subtitle for this one. It's just that this seemed to work very well in context of the art and the name and what it did. And so occasionally there are cards that only have mechanics that you can kind of come up with a good name for it just based on the mechanics, but sometimes you have to find art and a subtitle that just work together, and this was one of those. Filling in the top of AJ's hat is really annoying, because those curves are kind of important and difficult to get correct.
You had to do that by hand, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I found anything where I could use a composite here, so I had to fill that all in by hand. So this I think is the capstone of annoying. There are 4 images that go into this card. So first off, we need a bunch of rubble, so that top image is actually upside down. And we're going to put the students in there, and that leaves this ugly line where the 2 images meet. But Acellus is facing the wrong way, so I'm going to grab another image and composite that on there to get her facing the correct direction. Then we're going to go through and do a whole bunch of manual cleanup to blend the rubble together and erase little bits of Acellus that are facing the wrong direction. And then I guess I forgot to fill in the bits of Yona that are behind Acellus's hair. It's going to bother me again.
Did you? No. Oh, you mean it should be through the transparent part?
Yeah, her hair is transparent.
Oh. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure with the amount of editing you had already done at that point, it was time to be done.
You can tell which direction I was fixing the rubble from because it gets progressively crummier as it goes from right to left. So the stuff on the left side is not done quite as well.
It looks fine.
Yeah. In keeping with tradition, the boosted side is also annoying because the image, of course, wasn't tall enough and the carpet needed extended downward, and Twilight picked out some really complicated carpet for her school's hallways.
Gotta employ all those ponies somehow.
Evidently. Right. I'm also kind of proud of this one because there's a huge chunk of this image that's just completely from scratch. I think this still takes my vote for probably favorite art.
This is a fun one.
Yeah. And I'm going to... I will not hiss at this next one, but I spent an awful lot of time putting a lot of care into this card with the trader.
What's Starlight doing there?
Well, those 2 changelings in the background help fill the space in, so the entire image gets moved over a little bit, and then Starlight has to get erased out of it.
Bye, Starlight.
She
Bye,
got
Starlight.
Majin Buu eaten by Thorax.
She disappeared. No pony knows. She died on the way back to her home planet.
She must go now. Her planet needs her.
On her way back from Mars.
Yes. See what you did there. And then the one changeling's hoof needs reconstructed because it's behind Starlight's tail. Also fun. Now, some other random stuff that I'm kind of proud of pulling off. There's this entire changeling that just disappeared. Because that made the background entirely too busy here. And you probably don't even notice this. And the fact that no one commented at all that this changeling is gone, just... I enjoy that. It makes me a little bit proud.
It's because Destiny Draw isn't annoying us anymore with all his
Yeah.
art critiques.
Yeah. Also, take a look at this cat.
That face, he knows exactly what he's doing.
Is he on a card?
He
Yes.
is on a card.
He is a card.
I forgot
Yeah.
about that.
So you're like this whole sequence is rotating. He's far in the background, and all this stuff is at an angle. It's just ugh. And somehow, just one little move and a little rotate, and Photoshop just made this work. Now there are
A little
also
shimmy here.
yeah, little shimmy here, little wiggle there. There are also a couple of promos that I'm kind of proud of as well. One I'm absolutely ashamed of because I had to completely erase Arqueen out of it, but you'll just have to wait and see those for yourselves. But that's just a little look at how the art for this works.
There's a lot that goes into this.
Yes, there is.
Also explains why it takes so long for sets to be completed, because it's definitely
Card design?
definitely not design's fault.
Yeah.
Certainly not
Unrelated.
unrelated.
No, 100% unrelated.
Yeah,
Bum 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 bum.
basically.
And there were a couple of other fun bugs that almost made it into previous sets. Like a picture of a character that was supposed to be a unicorn. And it turns out that Gyro isn't a unicorn.
Which everyone forgets. Even I forget.
Purple cheap friend with event synergy. It's got to be a unicorn.
It's a unicorn, right? No, he's actually an Earth Pony. And that gets rather embarrassing when the card needs to be a unicorn for mechanical reasons.
Just stick a horn on him.
Basically. All right.
Stick a horn, hope the color matches.
I mean, Photoshop can do some neat things. Anyway. I think we have a couple of other things that we wanted to talk about before we wrap this up.
Yeah, we sure do. I hear there's, like store championships coming up or something.
Should probably sign up for that at some point.
Yeah, we should probably sign up as well. This is going to be the Winter Store Championships for 2020. The first of several store championships this year. Those of you who played last year would be familiar with how Commentaries Magic has organized store championships. And that will continue.
Got a link in the chat for you.
Yep. Those will be taking place over the last weekend in February, first weekend in March, I believe, and the weekend before that. But there is one noticeable change this time, apart from the fact that players can select the blocks that they would prefer to get their prize packs from. There's an additional prize going out to each group.
Breaking up a little bit there.
Sorry, there's an additional prize going out to each group who is participating. The winner
What kind of
of
price are you
each-
talking about?
Well, it's going to be a good one. The winner of each store championship will receive a voucher that is good for a round one buy at the 2020 North American Continental Championships this year.
Really? So can I get like 3 of
or,
these?
For that matter, for our international players, their local Continental Championship, if there is another one being held.
Pretty sure they're going to run it at Galacon.
Yes.
I heard Galacon as well.
I also heard Galacon.
That sounds kind of neat. So can I get like 4 or 5 of these things and like not have to actually play any
No.
rounds?
No, the buys are limited to round 1 buys only, and 1 per person. So even if you play in 5 different store championships and you win every single one, you're still only going to be able to skip the first round. But hey, that's an extra like 30
Aw.
minutes of sleep.
As much fun as showing up halfway through the tournament and pretty much already guaranteeing top 16 was, that was kind of stupid and shouldn't be repeated.
Yeah.
Aw. Can I still get like 5 of them and get like 5 buys for round 1?
Sure, but those all resolve at the same time, so it only actually does once.
Aw. Sad.
We have a question in chat of, are these tied to the player or can they be passed on?
The cards themselves have a unique code on them. So the request here is for the store to send the winner's either full name or fan name to the Commentary is Magic email account, but the card itself at the end of the day is proof that you won. So if you trade those around or the winner can't necessarily make Continentals, but someone else from the group can, well,
If your group is going to be attending Continentals, or you have multiple players who will be attending Continentals, it would be best to have that prize remain as close to first place as possible.
Mhm.
Now, with all that being said, that might prompt the question, all right, great. I don't know if I can attend Continentals. You haven't told us where it will be yet.
It's
Where
at my
is it?
house.
Yep.
It's at Ivory's house. It's at Ivory's house in
Well,
Virginia.
you're in Virginia, right?
Yeah. I have probably 2 tables.
How many
y'all are
couches
gonna
do you have?
I have 2 couches. One of them is in a room that a lot of animals are in, so have fun with that.
We can fit at least 5 Canadians in there.
Nice. So
So
Anyway.
maybe we should make it easier for people to know if they can attend Continentals or not, huh?
yeah, it sounds reasonable.
What, you want to announce Continentals in like January? The earliest it's ever been announced before?
Yes.
I mean, it starts on the 31st? No.
it's in.
It's in 5 days. Good
Or
luck,
5 days.
everybody.
Yeah, basically.
I'm already there because it's at my house.
That's fair. No, Continentals this year, the North American Continental Championship for 2020 will take place at Everfree Northwest.
Which will be August. Oh, or you could just show it on the screen. That works too. August 7th to 9th. Be there.
August 6th through 9th.
7th through 9th.
The 6th
I
is
mean,
the pre. The
we'll be
6th
there
is
on
the
the 6th.
The 6th is the pre-gaming night.
You
Day
should probably show
0.
up on the 6th. Yes, day 0 is absolutely a day.
Yeah.
When it comes to, well, it's a new hotel, so there will probably be a lot of staff members running around, figuring things out and such. Running a convention is hard.
Yes. A note, if you are not already planning on attending Everfree, the hotels have been going like hotcakes, so you're probably going to want to get in on that sooner rather than later.
You're more familiar with the area. Are there other hotels in case the Hyatt Regency is a little too booked?
Yeah, this is taking place in downtown Bellevue. It's a very nice area. There are hotels all over the place. And there's a pretty good public transit system, if absolutely nothing else. So there are no shortage of lodging opportunities here.
Yeah, probably not quite as cutthroat as Gen Con was in
Oh.
years of old.
No.
Oh, heavens no. No.
Oh
This
will-
yeah.
This will be feasible for people.
Can
Yeah.
I go to Gen Con this year? Wait.
Maybe.
Maybe.
July
Yeah.
30th through August 2nd.
Might go to Gen Con this year.
Yeah.
But that's not where Continentals are.
But this is taking place on the West Coast this year, and there's absolutely no reason it couldn't move around.
I mean, that depends. Do you want to go to Galacon instead?
North American Continental Championships in Galacon, huh?
Well, no, I was more asking if Cheese wanted to go to Gen Con or Galacon.
Oh,
Probably Gen Con.
Good luck getting a
It's
hotel
a big
now.
ask to get
Yeah.
out to Germany.
True. All right. Anyway, make sure you get your rooms reserved, plan your travel accordingly. The Midwest and the East Coast have had their share of Continentals events, and we're going to mix things up. With all that being said, I think that will about wrap up our announcements for the evening. We would, of course, like to give a big shout out to all of our patrons on Patreon. Thank you so much for your regular support. If you aren't currently a patron, but you enjoy what we do, consider donating. Doing so does enable us to continue making interesting content like this. If you have comments or questions you'd like to send our way, or if you're just interested in hearing about what we're working on for the future, there are many ways you can stay in contact. We have our Patreon, as mentioned previously, but you can also reach us through Facebook, Twitter, and email. And patrons at or above the $5 per month level also get access to our Slack channel, where you can chat live with us any day, anytime, because sometimes we're up at 2 a.m. hanging 8-foot tall signed posters in our duplexes.
That it took you 8 months to receive.
No, we had it for 8 months. It took us 8 months to find a dowel that would work.
Oh, I thought. Oh, did you ship it directly from?
Yeah, we took it
Seattle?
home. We took it
No,
home.
Ara shipped it.
Yeah.
Oh
They
yeah,
got
he put
their-
the Sphinx things in it.
yes, I did.
I forgot about that. I was so upset. I was so scrunched.
That was glorious.
Anyway, if you're looking to watch any of our previous videos, including tournament recordings like the ones from VPE, you can find them on our YouTube channel, which is linked in the sidebar. And while you're there, if you have not already, please subscribe. We are 7 individuals away from being able to have a channel URL that is easy to remember.
Please.
With all that said, thank you to each and every one of our viewers, both here now and watching this recording later. We are, as always, Commentary is Magic. I am, as always, Grand Paws.
Big Cheese.
Thorax Fan 88. Oh my god.
And Ivory Starlight, who is going to never call Thorax Fan 88 by his old name ever again.
We'll see you all in a couple of weeks.
Bye bye.